I'm getting kind of sad. We're getting to the end of our series here. It's kind of getting sad. I don't want to see it end, but it's gonna end, and we'll have to wait another year for another book. We've got a few more to do, and then it's over. And we've got a few more J.D. Robb before that's over too. So we're getting down to the few that we have, and we'll be starting new series in January. Some Victoria Thompson, the Gaslight series, Sarah Burke, Frank Malloy. I'm also looking to do James Patterson's Murder Club, so we'll be doing those. I might do a video at some point on all the books I've read this year. I started to accumulate or make, and I lost it. It's over 300 books, 35 something series. It was like really long. So anyways, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-R-I-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read book, talk about books. Please like and subscribe. If you already subscribed, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I had this Christmas wish, and it obviously did not come true. It wasn't even close to coming true. I had this wish for 1,000 subscribers. I made it to 150 after Christmas, so I didn't even get close, not even remotely close. So there was no hope there. It's really depressing. So anyways, we are doing Twisted 26, and like I said before, I love the audio by Lorelei King. You gotta check them out; they're great. Some of the future ones I've done Audible now because it's just cheaper. But in the beginning, I have all these if you watch my videos, and I hope you're reading along with me. I hope you're enjoying this series with me. I hope I'm not doing this alone. Or maybe I am doing this alone because no one's really watching these videos. I have very low self-esteem, and it's really depressing that I know a couple of people, well, I don't know them personally, but I see their videos and they post something and they'll have like 500 views in hours. I haven't even gotten that many in a year. So anyways, let's get back to our fun gal here. Stephanie PLUM is a bounty hunter. She works for her cousin Vinny's bail bond agency. Connie is the office manager. Lula is her partner. Joe Morelli is a Trenton cop. He's her on again, off again, on again, off again boyfriend. Ranger is special forces, and he's also has a security firm. He comes to Stephanie's rescue more than anything. Sometimes I really believe that Ranger might be a better fit for Stephanie in the husband department, but some people feel it's Joe. But if you sit there and think about all the times that Joe hasn't had time for her, whereas Ranger always has time for her, and he always comes to her rescue, like when she was jumping off the bridge and stuff. So that's what I was thinking. But so we have Grandma Mazur. We have a lot of Grandma Mazur in this, and I love Grandma Mazur. She's the greatest. She's our biggest comedy relief. There really isn't any. There's a couple other characters, but they're not recurring ones. So in the last, we left you last. Grandma Mazur had eloped to Atlantic City with Jimmy Risoli, and he's a gang guy. He was a mobster, and he was playing the slots in Atlantic City, and he had a heart attack and died. And if you've followed me with these books before, you know that I have to share. I just have to share. It's what I do. I like to share my enjoyment with you of these books. It's too bad your mother is in bed with a bad back, Grandma said to me. It's not every day that her stepfather is laid to rest. He was only her stepfather for 45 minutes, I said. Still, this is an important occasion for me. I get to stand at the head of the casket and be the grieving widow. There's lots of women out there who would kill to be Jimmy's widow. I had doubts about the source of my mother's back pain. She self-diagnosed on Google and was self-medicating with bourbon. Are you having fun? If my computer shakes, it's Miss Smokey over here that's rubbing herself all against my computer. We get yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? Yeah, you don't care about me. Nobody cares about me. So you have to understand, and if you've read my videos previously, if you watched them previously, in the Berg, there's social events for your gossip. There's your deli, there's your bakery, there's your hair salon, and there's the viewings. Those are the 4 places that you get your gossip in the Berg. And I miss delis huge, major, big time. I need some New York potato salad yesterday. I've been trying to get it for years, trying to get someone to get it and freeze dry it for me. And I had somebody that was thinking of doing it for me, and they died. So there went my New York connection. I miss New York sometimes, except for the prices and the traffic. But I miss the delis. A real deli. And a real bakery. And real pizza. And real Chinese food. Last I heard, a bacon, egg, and cheese on a Kaiser cost $12. What the F is up with that? You cannot get real Kaisers where I am. You just can't. They just don't exist. I got this itch. Grandma knows every inch of Stevens by heart. Ladies of a certain age use Stevens as a social center. Grandma and her girlfriends are here 4 nights out of 7, whether they know the deceased or not. 2 of the remaining nights are reserved for bingo at the firehouse. I suppose it could be worse. I mean, it's not like they're frequenting strip clubs or crack houses. And so he was part of the mobsters, like I said, and they were retired mobsters. There were 6 of them, and they each had their own. They retired. They bought this bar, and they all had a back room, and they all had recliners, and they all sat in the recliners and watched TV. The Mole was a strip club that was famous for its massive Angus beef burgers and its cheap drinks. The drinks were cheap because they were all watered down, and half the time the booze was bootleg. Jimmy and his geriatric cronies met in the back room to play cards, plan the occasional whacking, and take naps in their lazy boys' recliners. You don't seem very upset about Jimmy, I said to Grandma. You get to be my age and you have relations with an old codger. You get to expect these things are going to happen. It's not like he's the first man who kicked the bucket on me. I have to admit it was a shock when it happened, and the first couple hours were rough. I went through a lot of Kleenex, but then I got to thinking it was pretty good way to go. He hit the jackpot on one of those poker machines. 1 minute he was real happy, and the next minute dead. Death don't get much better than that. There you go. So after the funeral home, she goes home and Morelli is there. I thought you could use a diversion after the viewing, Morelli said. How bad was it? I don't know where to begin. I suppose the highlight was when the lid to the casket let go and smashed Angie Risoli's fingers. It just fell down on its own. Grandma said it was an act of God. I wouldn't mind having a police escort for the funeral. It's on Saturday. I've already got it on my calendar. I figure if I'm there, I'll have a head start at solving whatever homicides go down. I don't think you have to worry about Angie. I'm pretty sure she's got a broken trigger finger. The next day, she goes to the office, and Connie gives her some FTAs. And just to show you, my gal pal's over here on the floor making all cute stuff. So Connie gives her two FTAs, Tyrone Brown and Travis Wazinski, and they're very successful in picking up both FTAs. However, there is this conversation with Lula. I'm stuck in a rut. I'm 56 years old and I'm still doing the same stupid stuff. Say what? You're how old? How can you be 56? I looked over at Lula. Did I say I was 56? Yeah. And we know that's wrong because that would mean I'm a middle-aged lady and I'm not ready for that shit. Your mama is 56. That's not 56 is so bad since 56 is the new 36. Well, I feel like I'm 70. That's the new 50. My life isn't going anywhere. It's the same old, same old. It's stagnant. I see where you might feel like that sometimes. There's not much upward mobility in bounty hunting unless you're a ranger. But that's your day job. You got any stagnation problems? My relationships are stagnant. Now we're getting somewhere, Lula said. We're back to the cat issue. You've got a problem with commitment. You've always had that problem. Only thing you can commit to is that 3-ounce hamster. You got 2 hot men in your life that have been on hold forever. Lula was right, but I was only half of the problem. Both the men in my life were committed to me at some level, but they'd made it clear that marriage wasn't on the table. See this. She's too much. So, hey, it's me and my gal pal over here. So, let's talk. Shall we talk? How's it going there? Here. Ugh. Dang. Twisted 26. I am so horrible at this. Don't you know it? I'm just horrible at this. So she's all depressed about her life. She goes home, calls Joe Cole's ranger, has lunch with her parents. Grandma says she was a celebrity at the deli. While they were talking in the kitchen, someone throws a Mavatel cocktail through the window, and Stephanie throws it back out the broken window and blows up her car. There you go. There's your car explosion for the day. She gets Big Blue and goes to Morelli to walk Bob. While she's walking Bob, a car pulls up beside her. They want her to get in the car. She calls Ranger, and they hear her talking to Ranger, and they realize who it is, and they decide to leave. She takes Bob home, goes to the apartment, gets Grandma, and goes to bingo. Also, I would like to mention here that Big Blue never gets hurt. Whenever she gets Big Blue, it's never gonna get hurt. The car never gets hurt. And if you're a 70s or 80s person, do you remember the wheels on yacht? Do you remember those nice, big, huge cars that you felt really, really safe in? Where there was 20 feet in front of you and 20 feet in the back, and they had back seats you could sleep in between college classes. You could put groceries in the trunk, and you had 20 feet of protection in front of you for fender benders. Nowadays, screw it. There's nothing. Just a second here. A person needs to get up. And I would like to point out that you are never, ever, 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 ever supposed to get into car with strangers. So anyways, she lives because they don't want Ranger coming after them. So she takes Bob home. She goes, I already did this part. So She takes Grandma to bingo. They have an interesting night. Then Ranger comes by to do a mental health check. She's been through a lot. Stuff happened at the bingo parlor. And where am I? Mental health check. I was ending a patrol shift and heard you were heading home after a bingo disaster. Marvina panicked when Tootie hit her in the face with Ditman's basket. She punched the button on the fire alarm and set the overhead sprinklers off. I imagine she thought she was hitting an emergency help button. Ranger was lounging against my counter, arms crossed over his chest, watching me strip down to my sports bra and sketchy bikinis. It's been a while. I've missed you, Ranger said. Ranger and I have had our moments in the past. Don't say. Okay, she goes to bingo, she gets Big Blue. Have to remind you that nothing ever happens to Big Blue. The car is totally, absolutely safe. Let me just save my computer for a second here. So they have an interesting night at bingo. Then when she gets home, Ranger's at her apartment. Mental health check. I was ending a patrol shift and heard you were heading home after a bingo disaster. Marvina panicked when Tootie hit her in the face with the Ditman's basket. She punched the button on the fire alarm and set the overhead sprinklers off. I imagine she thought she was hitting an emergency help button. Ranger was lounging against my kitchen counter, arms crossed over his chest, watching me strip down to my sports bra and not on my computer. Sketchy bikinis. It's been a while, Ranger said. I've missed you. Ranger and I have had our moments in the past. It's not like this was the first time he'd seen me in my undies, or for that matter, without them, as it's not as if my sports bra and bikini were all that revealing. Not any more revealing than my swimsuit. Maybe less. It was that Ranger admits a sexual pull that's hard to ignore. He enters my field of vision and I get a rush. If I'm at arm's length and close enough to get a hint of his shower gel or feel his body heat, I am in serious danger of turning into a slut. I want him bad, and that's not good since Ranger is an opportunist. And I have an awesome boyfriend who doesn't look kindly on sharing. Yet another indication that my life isn't on track. As you can see, I'm perfectly okay, I said to Ranger. Don't walk on my computer. I just needed to wash the bingo hall water out of my hair, and I'll be as good as new. We need to talk, Ranger said. We can talk while you shower. Oh boy. Ranger watching me in the shower, just the thought gave me heart arrhythmia and a massive dose of Catholic guilt. I pretty much lost my blind faith, but the guilt was still strong. That doesn't work for me. We can talk after I shower. So she comes out of the shower with a towel, and Ranger goes, Babe. This time it was easy to guess what Babe implied. His voice was soft, his gaze traveled the length of me and settled on the towel. No, I said, don't even think about it. Hard not to think about it when you're in front of me in just a towel. I just took a shower. What'd you expect? I was hoping for naked. And I was hoping you'd wait in my living room. I tried that. Your couch is covered in dog hair. Bob shreds. Okay. So, he wants to tell her his information. Here's the short version. The two errand boys who tried to get you in the Cadillac work for Benny Scooch. He got his name on a lazy boy at the mole hole, and I'm guessing he wants to talk to you about Grandma and the missing keys. You know about the keys, right? Only that they're missing. I don't know much more than that, but I know if the keys don't turn up soon, things are going to get messy. These mole hole guys are old school. They'll do anything the old-fashioned way, broken bones and blood everywhere. So Grandma Mazur died with the holder of the keys. That's what Jimmy was known for, as holder of the keys. So everybody thinks that he gave Grandma in his dying moments the keys. She goes to the office the next day. Charlie Sheen is back in town. They want her to get him because he's a very large bond. She tries the girlfriend. Things don't go that way. Then they go to the mole hole and they want the keys from her. They know she has the keys. And she tries to tell them that no, she doesn't have the keys and Grandma doesn't have the keys. She goes to her parents' house and the entire house is filled with casseroles because in the Berg, unlike here where I currently live, because I don't know anybody here. Nobody knows me. I don't know them. So no, if someone died and people have died, and I've known people who've had people die, nobody brings casseroles in this area here. It's not a close-knit community. They probably only do that in close-knit communities. In fact, I've really never heard of any of my relatives doing that. They all just went to the funeral home and then everybody split afterwards or something. Or depending on how financially settled the deceased or person was, maybe they went to a restaurant afterwards or something. But no one's ever sent me food after a death. And once in a while, maybe the flowers go to the funeral home, so maybe you get some flowers. But I would love to have a close-knit society. I would love to live someplace where I knew my neighbors. When I was a little kid, I knew all my neighbors. I know nobody. I literally don't know anybody here. So she wants to, she goes to Connie and asks her to do some research on the Lazy Boys. Then she goes with Lula to the hair salon, and she returns to her apartment, and the whole thing's been trashed. She tells Morelli about her apartment being trashed. He will file a report. Then they go to the church and the gravesite for Jimmy. When they return home to the house, her parents' house has been trashed. She wants Ranger to provide security for the house. Ranger is prepared to do such a thing. Her father pitches a bitch and refuses to allow security in his house because he's from the old school. He's from the 60s and 70s or 50s and 60s where you didn't lock your front door. Here, you lock your front door, put bars and security cameras everywhere. There are some places in this country, maybe way out in the boondocks, where people still leave their doors open, but not anymore. This is not the good old days when you were safe in your home or safe and you had people you knew and you knew your neighbors. I would love to live in a society where I knew my neighbors. It would be a nice thing to be able to go next door and borrow that proverbial cup of sugar. But you just can't do that nowadays. It's just not safe. You have no idea who your neighbors are anymore. It's really bad. So she spends some time with Morelli. Then her parents go bonkers over the security system. Ranger's guys spot Grandma going to the bakery. So she gets... So Stephanie gets out of the car and goes with Grandma into the bakery. And we have a situation at the bakery. We reached the bakery and took a number. It's always crowded like this on Sunday, Grandma said. Everyone comes here after church. It's like when you're praying, you ask the Lord for a babka, and then you just gotta come pick it up. We were next in line when I saw Jimmy's sister Rose enter the bakery. Angie was behind her. Both women narrowed their eyes when they saw Grandma and me. What's with these women, Grandma said, catching sight of them. They're everywhere, and they're giving us the stink face. Ignore them. We're next. Patty Ben was working behind the counter. Number 64, she called out. That's me, Grandma said. I want 6 sandwich rolls and a half a pound of Italian cookies. That's my number, Rose said, pushing to the front. We dropped it and the slut gold digger picked it up before we could get to it. That's right, Angie said. I couldn't hold on to the ticket because the slut broke my fingers. Liar, liar, pants on fire, Grandma said. I got this ticket from the machine. You 2 old hags gotta go to the end of the line. Ladies, Patty said, let's all take a step back. I'm not stepping anywhere until I get my rolls and cookies. Typical, Rose said, Hungarian. Grandma cut her eyes to Rose. You got a problem with Hungarians? They're not Italian. You got that right, Grandma said, and proud of it. Nobody likes Hungarians, Rose said. They're all fornicators. You bet, Grandma said, and I'm proud of that too. You're just jealous because you're such a dried up ugly poon you can't even get any fornicating. Patty threw some rolls and 2 pounds of cookies in a bag and handed it over to Grandma. On the house, she said. Next. You gotta love it. You just gotta love it. It's so great. So then we have another incident. There's never a lot of traffic in the burg on weekdays. People leave for work in the morning and come home in the evening. Saturday morning is for shopping and car washing. Sunday is church. We were a block from my parents' house when I heard a car come up behind us. I turned to look and saw that Rose was behind the wheel and Angie was next to her. They slowly drove past us, made a rude Italian gesture to Grandma and me. Vangool! Grandma yelled at them and she gave them the finger. Rose drove half a block, made a U-turn, and gunned it straight for us. She jumped the curb and yanked Grandma to safety with about 3 inches to spare. Rose cut across Gary Lucas's front lawn, spun around, and came back at us. Grandma dropped the bakery bed and pulled her gun out of her purse and squeezed off 3 rounds. Rose swerved away from us and drove down the street. How'd I do? Grandma asked. You took out a side mirror, but I think the other 2 shots went right. I was rushed. I picked the bakery bag up from the ground, looked inside. Well, everything's okay. Good thing, because your mother won't be happy if I don't bring home rolls. Kaiser rolls are the bomb. They're just the best. There is no rolls better than a Kaiser roll, a fresh deli or bakery Kaiser roll. There is nothing better. If you haven't had one, go have one. She goes to the bail bonds the next day, and she's got 3 new FTAs, Carol Joyce. And I was thinking, isn't Carol Joyce the one that was jumping off the bridge a couple books back? I could be wrong. Connie's been searching the lazy boy. She gives her the information. Grandma's thinking about how to spend Jimmy's money, and he was supposedly rich. And Grandma was at the kitchen table. She had her laptop open and was taking notes on yellow lined paper. I put my bag down and sat across from her. What's going on? I'm planning out how I'm going to spend Jimmy's money. I got a bucket list a mile long, so I'm trying to prioritize. Do you know how much you're getting? No clue, but I figure it must be a lot for everybody to want it so bad. I'm thinking I might buy a house of my own, or maybe even one of those new condos that look out over the river. And I'm going to sign up to visit Antarctica on an adventure explorer boat. I want to go to Gatlinburg. I hear it's a hoot. When do you find out about the money? The lawyer said he would schedule a meeting for sometime next week. Then, while they're at the kitchen table, the back door banged open and 2 men barged in. They were wearing balaclavas and holding guns. Nobody moved. The taller of the gunmen said. The other grabbed Grandma and yanked her out of the chair. I jumped to my feet and reached for Grandma, and the tall guy squeezed off a shot that came as such a shock to all of us, including the gunman, that everyone froze for a beat. I felt a searing heat ripped through my armor and realized he'd tagged me. My mother's face contorted, and she produced a sound that rocked the kitchen and was somewhere between enraged mother bear and crazed hyena. She charged the man who shot me and swung the iron wide, ripping the cord out of the wall socket and smacking him square in the face with the iron. He crashed to the floor and didn't move. The man holding Grandma said, "Holy Jesus," released her and ran out of the house. Stephanie's mom comes through when things go bad. You gotta love her. Her mother killed, what was it, the rabbit in the last book, or no, it was the previous book, yeah. She calls Morelli. She was shot in the arm. They investigate. The next day, Morelli tells her the gunman was identified as Marius Velez. He was a hired guy. So then she makes the decision to go after Julius, but not yet. She just thought of that. So then they go to the bond's office, and Richie Meister's on the roof. He's stoned out of his gourd. They have to call the fire truck to get him down. While the fire truck is investigating getting him down off the roof, they discover a guy in the dumpster out back behind the bond's office. And he was the second guy who was trying to kidnap Grandma the day before. That he had questioned him in the hospital the night before. The other guy, the guy that the Grandma hit with the iron, or her mother hit with the iron, and he said that he'd been given $50 to kidnap. Only $50. That's gotta be worth more than that. Then Stephanie goes meets with Ronan, and he knows about who made the attempt on her and Grandma, but yes, ma'am, he's not telling. He knows he doesn't know who else is interested in the Lazy Boys, but he will look into it. When Lula calls, they've been trying to get this FTA Carol Joyce, and Lula says she has successfully captured him. So when Stephanie gets to the mall, Stephanie's like, "Where is he?" Lula put him in the trunk. Stephanie's like, "You can't keep him in the trunk." And they open up the trunk, and it's not Joyce Carol, it's some stranger. They go to Jimmy's condo. Grandma says he always left the key in the plant outside his door. They search the condo, they come up with nothing. So then they go, Grandma wants to go with them to get an FTA, and when they're hanging outside the FTA's house, this lady takes a hose to Stephanie because she doesn't appreciate people standing outside her house. They go after the... What are you doing? Oh, shit, I hope that didn't do anything. How do I close this? All right. Put this over here. What's up? What? Come here. You wanted my attention. Come here. Come here. What? What's up? So they give up on Joyce Carol and they go for another guy, and they try and get him and he escapes, and they pass by 7-Eleven, and apparently the guy went to 7-Eleven and they get him. So Ranger gives Stephanie a new car and a panic button, and Stephanie asks Connie to research Sylvester Luca, and she calls Ranger for help in getting helping with the FTA. She gets back to her house, and Grandma has taken off her necklace that Ranger gave her, a panic button. And they test it out, and it doesn't work for whatever reason. So then they're trying to figure out who would hire somebody for $50 to get Stephanie and Grandma. and they go through all these different people. And Stephanie comes down to one or two that she thinks might do it. She thinks maybe the first wife. The first wife is known as crazy. So she's looking into that. But Grandma goes to a viewing, and this crazy woman that was Jimmy's first wife gives Grandma a tin of cookies. And everybody in the creation thinks that the cookies are poison or something. So then Jimmy's sisters show up, and Grandma gives them the cookies. And then apparently, hot potato cookies, the ladies give the cookies to their neighbor, who ends up in the hospital. And everybody thinks that the first lady had poisoned and was intending to kill Grandma. And later it's revealed that the woman had a bad appendicitis and it had nothing to do with the cookies. So then there's another FTA that they do a really spectacular job of catching. But I don't think Grandma goes missing at the end, and they have to find her. So Joe, Ranger, Morelli, Stephanie have to go find her. So you'll have to read the book to find out if they find the grandmother, what condition she's in, has she been hurt, and how Stephanie eventually gets taken too, and how Ranger and Morelli find her. And the big cliffhanger at the end is, so where are the keys? The keys that everybody's been looking for the entire book. You will have to read the book to find the answer. However, if you're reading along with me, you'll see me tomorrow for Fortune and Glory. Sure. I have no idea. It says exclusive content. I don't know. So this is our next book. You know, I've always got the audio. But right now, I hope you're reading along with me. We will do that. Then we will do 28. And we will do 29. And then we will do and end our little crusade with 30-30. And we're going to shed a few tears because this is the end until next year. I always hate when I'm doing a reread and I get to the last book. It always makes me very sad. I always go depressed for a day or so. But we're going to move on to Victoria Thompson and Sarah Brandt and Frank Malloy in the Gaslight series. And we may venture into some James Patterson. If you'd like to leave some comments below about which series author that you would maybe like me to cover, I could look into it. But since nobody watches these videos, I guess it won't be. And she was going to do this series, and it kind of got left in left field with COVID and stuff. So I'm not going to do this one again. I'm not going to read this one. I'm going to just do, we have finished 26. And we will do Fortune and Glory. And Game On. And we will end with Going Rogue and Dirty 30. It's been a good 30 days, and I'm going to be sad to see it end. I will do my JD Rob, and then I will even crash even further, because those are my babies. Those JD Robs are just my babies. And where is the little one? Mog, where'd you go? She left. I've been abandoned. I hope you all had a good Christmas, good New Year's, unless I decide to run this sooner. We'll see. Oh, here she is. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Come here. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Make mommy feel better. She's ending her series almost. She's got like 3 books left. And thank you for being here during my chat. I know she's the I only want to be held when I want to be held cat. Goodbye. Have a good one. Please like and subscribe.